Yo everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a review of the brand new product from Huda Beauty, which is the Easy Bake and Snatch setting powder. My shade is in Banana Bread. Specifically, it's called the Easy Bake and Snatch Pressed Brightening and Setting Powder because this is a pressed equivalent to this product right here, which is called the Easy Bake Loose Baking and Setting Powder. So this is basically the pressed version of this loose one. If you guys don't know already, this is my ride or die. This is like my 100th different loose setting powder. I absolutely love the Easy Bake setting powder. I use it every single day to set my under eye area. I don't necessarily use it on my face because I prefer to use loose powder under the eye. I just find that it fills out any lines a lot better than, for example, a pressed powder. I'm not surprised that Huda Beauty came out with this just because of the popularity of this. This one makes it much more easier to apply to the face, meaning that you end up using a lot less product as well. First off, I can't actually pinpoint the price of this because it seems to vary because it's on offer in so many places. Even I didn't pay full price for it. Around £32. It's basically around the same price as this one. Now bear in mind that this one right here is 20 grams, 0.71 ounces, and this one here is 8.5 grams, 0.29 ounces. So there is a significant difference in the amount of product in here. But the one thing you have to remember is this is going to last you a lot longer than this one. Loose setting powder, half of it ends up in the air or on your clothes, whereas this one is much more compact and obviously kicks up a lot less powder. So in terms of price, I would say that okay, it's all relative, and from using it over the past week and only really now, it's kind of starting to remove the Easy Bake little logo which is embossed in, and that's only because I was doing this video and I was proper pressing hard into it. But this should generally take you a good couple of months to finish, even with daily use. So this is what it looks like up close. Really nice, luxe, luxurious feeling, not cheap quality at all packaging. And you open it up, and inside there is a mirror, and this is the product. Obviously it's a little bit messy. It does say Easy Bake on here, and that's just obviously for marketing purposes. Underneath is a nice, easy and convenient to use sponge. I've only used it once or twice because I actually prefer fluffy sponges myself rather than this kind of like spongy sponge, if that makes sense. Plus I just find it a little bit too small for myself personally. So just like the loose setting powder, this comes in 8 shades. So whatever your shade was in the loose setting powder, it should be exactly the same. But I'm going to swatch them side by side just in case you are interested. So let's first get into what they say about this and what the justifiable reasons are for spending this amount of money on a setting powder. So it says a pressed powder with a luminous matte finish designed for targeted brightening to instantly snatch your face. The key to an instant lifted look, Easy Bake and Snatch comes with a precision sponge that instantly brightens and blurs for a filtered finish in seconds. Why we're obsessed: alc free and fragrance free, speed baking, medium to full coverage, 8 to 9 hours wear, sweat and humidity resistant. And then it also says infused with hyaluronic acid and an avocado derivative for a creamy, non-drying, incredibly soft and silky texture to create a bright, lifted and filtered finish. The compact packaging has a precision designed sponge for targeted setting and on-the-go touch-ups for oilier areas like the T-zone. And then there is a load of different ways that you can use it, but I would always say it's down to personal preference completely. If you watch me in today's video, I have literally just got foundation on my face and I have just put my concealer on just before the video, so it hadn't been set yet. What I actually did was I used my own sponge, which is a little bit larger, and I basically have just rubbed it into the powder quite heavily, and then I have patted it on my under eye area to set that area. It's quite obvious, you can see where it has been set because that area suddenly looks a lot more brighter, almost too bright. Then what I've done is I've gone in with any kind of random fluffy brush that you've got at home. I just used some no-name one that I found lying around that I've been using recently, and I am applying it all over my face to set my foundation. My foundation is the Kat Von D one. I'm using the serum one because I'm on my way for a night out and I need my makeup to stay in place all day and it's very long wearing, and I needed to make sure that I set it with something which has got the same sort of equivalency in terms of longevity. So as you can see, I'm generously applying it all over my face so that it is perfectly set and nothing is moving or will move throughout the evening. Now another great thing with this is that you can use it to tidy up your contour or snatch your face's the way that it's referred to. So I'm using the GloWish by Huda Beauty Soft Radiance Bronzing Powder. My shade is in number 2 medium, just to contour my face and add a little bit of dimension. Now I'm using the sponge that comes with it, which because I've got a disabled hand, it's a little bit difficult for me to use, so it won't be the same for you guys, which is why I'm using it a little bit strangely if you're wondering why I'm holding it in a certain way. But as you can see, I'm very thickly applying it to my face, and that way I'm able to tidy everything up and make it look a lot more snatched, a lot more neater and tidier. And then I'm just using any old fluffy brush just to remove any excess product, just so that everything looks seamless, has blended in and set into my face. And then voila, that's it. My makeup is completely done and lovely and soft and unified, ready for me to apply any extra products afterwards, like I have with, for example, a blusher as well as a highlighter. Now let me see in terms of what they say, whether or not it meets the claims that they suggest. So it says it's got a luminous matte finish. I would say that it does. I personally would have preferred a matte finish. I don't want it luminous matte, but that's mostly because I've got textured skin. However, I didn't find that this emphasized any texture, so it very nicely set to my face. Medium to full coverage, I would say that it is, but if you're using a fluffy brush like I have done, you won't really notice a difference in terms of coverage. You will notice that it's maybe added a slight amount of color to your face, but so slight that you wouldn't even really notice that much. It's just because you can obviously tell this is not clear. Obviously it's got a hint of color to it, and then if you want to build it up, then fine, do that, but bear in mind you're going to end up looking like cake face because this is still powder at the end of the day. 8 to 9 hours wear. Yep, I would say that it definitely lasts me throughout a full working day without it moving or interfering with anything, creasing or caking or bunching up. Sweat and humidity resistant. Well, it has been very, very humid this summer in the UK and into September. We had thunderstorms the other night as well, so this has definitely held up very nicely in terms of keeping my foundation in place, despite the fact that it has been very, very humid in the air. And when I say high humidity, I mean like in the high 90 percentile. It has been that humid over here. Even right now where I'm sitting, I feel hot. Does my face look shiny? No, other than obviously my highlighter. So it says it's creamy, non-drying, incredibly soft and silky texture. Yep, I agree with all of those claims. It's very nice to touch, silky kind of feeling. My face feels like velvet, you guys. It feels absolutely amazing, and I think that this is personally a great product. Like I said about this sponge underneath, it's not one that I'm really going to use. I just don't like the texture of it personally. I prefer these fluffy ones, but that's more of a personal preference than anything else. But I do like the fact that she said that if you are on the go, you can kind of touch up areas that may have got a little bit shiny. So in saying that, I would request from Huda Beauty, if she does watch this video, please come out with some smaller size versions of these like you did with this one. This one, the smaller one, is called the Baby Bake. I would love a Baby Easy Bake and Snatch as well. This is too big for me to put in my handbag. My handbag is quite small for a night out, and the most I have in there is my wallet, my phone, and my lipstick and a tiny mirror, and maybe 1 or 2 other things. This will take up quite a lot of space. It's quite bulky. Now, if you were to come out with a smaller version of this, it would make it much more travel friendly for on the go. Like if you're at work, you want to touch up, taking this out can make it a little bit onerous in terms of the weight of it as well. So if you were to come out with a smaller version of this, many of us would be very, very happy. Let me just swatch this and this side by side for you guys, just so that you can see what the colors look like against each other. So this is the loose one and this is the pressed one. You can see that the colors are actually a little bit different. The banana bread loose powder is definitely lighter, and the banana bread in this one has got more yellow in it. I noticed this when I put it on my face and I was like, ooh, I've got a slight yellow tinge. So the colours are not exactly the same. So that is obviously something to bear in mind. If you're assuming that they're exactly the same, they are not. And I only really noticed that when I put on a foundation, which was a tiny bit warm for me. And then when I put this on, I was like, hold on. I suddenly look a little bit darker than I did earlier, and that was because of this. In saying that, I still give this a 10 out of 10. I think it's an absolutely excellent setting powder. Very, very happy with it. Not surprised. Huda Beauty's base products are some of the best in terms of what is available on the market. The quality is always excellent, and the amount that you're also given is very, very good as well. So again, 10 out of 10, absolutely excellent. My face feels lovely and soft and smooth, and I like the way that it performs on the face. I would personally prefer it, like I said, not to be luminous matte. I would prefer it to be completely matte. One thing I did notice was towards the end of the day, after the 8 to 9 hour mark, I did notice the luminosity making my face look a little bit more glowy than it normally would. That is not necessarily because of the natural oils in my face, but that was because this had slowly started to break down throughout the day as well. So that's another thing to bear in mind in terms of if you're planning to use this for, I don't know, 12 hours plus. And what happened was then that it just became a little bit more obvious to me that I had powder on my face, whereas powder should be almost completely invisible. In terms of using it under the eyes, I still prefer to use the loose setting powder. I just find that I'm able to pick up a lot more product with this than I can with this. I prefer to go in quite heavily under my under eye area when it comes to loose setting powder. I've shown you guys my technique in the past. You leave it, you set it, it literally fills out that area with the powder, soaking up any excess concealer that hasn't dried yet, leaving it soft and velvety. This doesn't have the opportunity to do that because it's completely set, and you're just picking it up on something like this. This isn't able to pick up enough product the same way it does with this. So I'll still continue to use the loose setting powder under my eyes and set my entire face with this. Again, that's down to personal preference and how you choose to use your makeup, but I actually found that this performs better under the under eye area than this one does. This one actually I found made my concealer crease a little bit sooner than this one. I'm not saying it creased straight away, but that's again because I wasn't really able to really fill in every area. It kind of sits on the top and then you have to push it in. Well, then I may as well use this then, because having loose powder pushed into that area works a lot better than something which is pressed. So that's it for my review of the Easy Bake and Snatch pressed setting powder by Huda Beauty. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you've tried it, if you've not tried it, are you gonna get it? Do you still prefer something else? Let me know your thoughts below. Other than that, I hope you guys are fabulous, wonderful, beautiful and great as always, and I'll see you all in the next video.